Hello world, welcome to another episode of my weekly rant dedicated to inspiring the change of mindsets, especially our African mindsets. Last week I discussed the topic of Africa being called the dark continent because of the lack of books. Today I will discuss another reason, which is the lack of civilization or modern development. To discuss this topic, I prefer to use data or observations that we can see with our own eyes. I will not employ complicated things like development indices or GDPs because such indicators are used by elites to talk to other elites without that information filtering down to the everyday person to understand why people may call Africa the dark continent due to lack of civilization or development. When you look at this night sky map of the world, you can easily see that the African continent is the darkest part of the world. On the other hand, the parts with the most lights are the most developed parts of the world. These are North America, Western Europe, and the Far East countries of Japan, South Korea, and China. Does this observable data justify Africa being called the dark continent? To test this thinking, I created a table to show the electricity consumption of the different countries in the world. Countries consuming a lot of electricity means that they have more factories, more cities, and generally more economic activities than those countries that don't use a lot of electricity. You can see, just like last week, that China is the number one in the world. With only 18% of the world population, it consumes over 28% of all the electricity produced in the world. No wonder it is lit up a lot when you see the night sky map. The US is number 2. It consumes 17% of the world electricity. But because it is only 4% of world population, it means that the US consumes 4 times the electricity that its population requires. Now, what about Africa? Even if we are 16% of the world population, we consume only 3% of the electricity. This means we consume only a fifth of the electricity we need to match up to the modern industrial requirements. To me, this could partly explain why people may call Africa the dark continent due to modern development indicators. Just to contrast the African story, you can see that the country of Japan, with only 126 million people, consumes more electricity than the whole continent of Africa with 1.3 billion people. No wonder Japan, which is smaller than the landmass of Kenya, has more GDP than all the economies of Africa combined. I have reasoned in my books that for us to understand why North America, Western Europe, or the Far East Asian countries are the places leading the modern civilization, we have to understand that it is due to the mindsets of their people which manifest within their cultures, as opposed to any other reason people may give you. Think about it. It is not that these countries have more minerals or bigger populations or more educated people compared to Africa. No, Africa is more endowed naturally. My submission is that the mindset that has enabled modern civilization in the West comes from their culture of personal freedoms, while in the Far East Asian countries, it is their mindset based on work perfection. Without appreciating these facts, you will not understand why a small hardware business like Toyota can start up in Japan and keep growing over decades to become the number one car company in the world, at least in standards of manufacturing productivity. On the other hand, in Africa, we all know about businesses that grow up for 2, 5 or 10 years but die off, never developing into global companies. The common cause is usually the death of the founder and the failure for the son or sons to carry on the enterprise. But why is it that in Africa we can't sustain generational development over a long time? The explanation you will get from this channel is that it is because we have failed to nurture a mindset and work culture in line with the complexities and needs of the modern civilization. What do you have to say? Is there another reason you think can explain this failure in African economies? I would like to know, because we keep lagging behind and people keep calling Africa the dark continent. Join the conversation. Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and remember, everything on this channel is about inspiring the change of mindsets.